A narcissist can't stand it when someone else doesn't pay attention to them. The lack of attention might only bother some people slightly, but for an ego, it's a much bigger problem. You have to understand that their whole mental system is based on a weak base of approval from other people. There is something psychologists call narcissistic supply, that they need to keep getting attention in order for their carefully made image to start to fall apart. When that picture falls apart, they are left with a deep emptiness that they desperately want to avoid facing. It's not just a weird habit for narcissists to need outside approval, it's an important part of how they keep their sense of self. In a real sense, their identity doesn't live inside their heads. It's what other people show them. This means that when you stop paying attention to them, you're not just making them feel bad. You're putting their very sense of being at risk. Verbal revenge couldn't hurt them as much as this, and it causes them to be in a lot of emotional turmoil. This is very strong, because it's the only thing they can't control. Narcissists will use guilt, charm, and fear, among other things, to get what they want from you. But none of those will help if you don't want to participate. And that refusal, that act of not caring, is very bad for their mental health. It makes them pointless. Imagine spending your whole life making a false impression of yourself, one that is grand, powerful, and well kept, only to have people not care about it. It can't be endured. Why does that hurt them so much? Narcissists think they need to be the center of attention in order to be important. As long as you don't respond or feed their ego, they will think they are nothing. The way they see the world is different from how you do. Most people's sense of self comes from things like their beliefs, character, and the relationships they make. Narcissists, on the other hand, show their personality to everyone else. It depends on what other people say about them. When you take away that mirror, you make them have an identity problem. They freak out and try to get back in control. If they can't, the mask starts to come off, showing the fear and shame they've been trying so hard to hide. This pulling away of attention isn't just about not answering their calls or getting into fights. That's not even close to it. It's a change inside you, a choice to stop letting their actions control how you feel. Narcissists are great at making you feel bad because it keeps your attention on them. You stay stuck in their game if you're always trying to protect yourself, explain yourself, or win their approval. You get your power back when you decide not to play, though. They really can't stand this part. When you take your attention away, you take away their power to shape reality for you. Narcissists take advantage of people by telling lies, gaslighting them, and making you question what you think you know. But they can't change your world once you step back or refuse to interact with them. And losing that power is the thing that scares them the most. Some people may wonder why this strategy works so well. It's because it makes them afraid of the worst thing of all, being seen. Narcissists often act like they are important, but deep down they feel like they are not. This is what makes them always want to be admired. They are always trying to escape that inner void. When you stop meeting that need, they have to face the nothingness they've been avoiding their whole life, and they'll do almost anything to stay away from that fight. Most of the time, the narcissist will act worse when they feel that you are pulling away. That's not because they really care about you, it's because they don't want to lose power. They may become more hostile, more attractive, or more eager to get you to return. This doesn't show how strong they are. It shows how weak they are. Their fear shows how much they needed you to keep their weak identity together. It's like their mental house of cards starts to fall apart when you don't act as that supportive force. But here's the important part. You have to stay strong. You give them back that power as soon as you turn it back on. Narcissists are very good at taking advantage of emotional gaps. They will use the fact that you still care about them, if they even see a hint of emotional investment, as an excuse to take back control. If you are truly free, you will never give up on your own reality and will not let their tricks pull you back into their world. And this may be the most powerful truth. Taking your attention away gives you back your freedom. They put you in a certain part, like the admirer, the scapegoat, or the emotional caretaker. Now you write your own story. The jerk may be scared, but that is not your issue. Keep your attention on your own growth, your own ideals, and your own sense of what's real. In the end, the best way to torture a narcissist is not through anger or payback, but through not caring about them at all. That's when their power really breaks, when you no longer need them, when their opinions, tricks, and judgments no longer have any effect on you. Then you are free. The first way is to stop paying attention to them. Losing power is something narcissists can't stand. For them, control isn't just a choice, it's a must. Creating a predictable world that keeps their fragile sense of self-image together is how they do it. They can't control what's going on inside their heads, so they have to face the chaotic and disordered truth that they will do anything to escape. When you set clear limits, you get them right where it counts, their mental life. That's not just an annoyance for them, it's a danger. Narcissists can't stand boundaries because they mean giving up their authority. When someone says you have autonomy, they mean that you are not an extension of their will or a game piece that they can move around whenever they want. Being able to make choices without their influence shows that you have your own thoughts, values, and abilities. This goes against everything a narcissist believes, because they think other people are there to help them. When you break that belief and make it clear that they don't have power over you, you break the illusion that they are in charge. But why does this have such a big effect on them? It all comes down to how narcissists handle their feelings. When they are feeling emotionally hurt, most people think about what they are going through. What am I feeling? Is something they ask themselves. What's making me act this way? What does this pain mean? And how can I treat it? Even though it's hard, this process is necessary for mental growth. Narcissists, on the other hand, don't do this kind of self-examination, or maybe they can't. To do that, they would have to face an uncomfortable truth, that beneath the grandeur lies a deep sense of not being good enough. Instead of accepting the truth, they take out their emotional pain on other people. Their pain is now someone else's issue. Their fear must be eased by other people obeying them. And control is the best way for them to keep this system running. You refuse to be a part of a system when you set a limit. You tell them, I am responsible for myself, and you are responsible for yourself. This throws their mental balance off in a big way. All of a sudden, they can't put their own problems on you anymore. They're left alone with their own messed up minds without that outside escape. This is why narcissists often attack with such explosive anger or use deceptive charm when they are told no. Not because the limit is offensive in and of itself, but because it threatens the whole system that helps them stay emotionally stable. From the time you start setting limits, you may notice a trend. At first, the narcissist might try them in a sneaky way to see where they are weak. If that doesn't work, they'll often use guilt, manipulation, or even violence to get you to give up. But the greater psychological truth is that their neediness shows how dependent they are. Even though they act like they are better than you, their power depends on you agreeing to what they say. The mask starts to fall off as soon as you don't play their game. The most important thing is that your limits must not be fudged. Uncertainty is good for narcissists. They will find a way to get around your limits if they aren't clear, consistent, or hard to get around. They can only understand limits that are clear, firm, and cannot be broken. How powerful it is to leave. Being in chaos is what narcissists do best. It's where they feel most comfortable. This is not a mistake. It is part of a plan. People who want to control you can do so best when you are unstable, unsure, and easily upset. This is what chaos does to you. When the trouble they cause takes up all of your mental and emotional energy, you can't really question their behavior or set your own limits. Giving a narcissist more information is such a strong and upsetting thing to do because of this. When people are being manipulated, clarity cuts through the fog and forces them to face a truth they can't change to suit their needs. It's not just what you say that makes you clear. It's also what you won't stand for. Narcissists are very good at making things unclear. They change events to fit their story, twist your words to make you doubt yourself, and make even the clearest situations more complicated. When you bring truth, you don't go along with these distortions. You should stop fighting about their view of reality, which is always changing and only serves them. You stick to what you know to be true instead. The interesting thing is that narcissists can't handle being faced with the truth. When you hold up a mirror to them, it shows them the one thing they can't face: how dishonest they are. When you get clear, you stop paying attention to the noise and only see what is real. This means being clear and not showing too much feeling when you talk. Narcissists feed off of your feelings, whether they are anger, confusion, or guilt. When you reply calmly and clearly with facts, you keep them from getting that food. You take away the power they get from seeing you in pain. For example, you don't fight or defend yourself over and over again if someone tries to gaslight you by changing the facts of a story to make you doubt your memory. You just tell them the truth once, firmly, and move on. That's not what happened, and are not going to argue about it with you. This level of clarity is not only humbling, but also very scary for someone who likes to control the story. Setting and sticking to your limits is another part of being clear. People who are narcissists naturally break rules. Not only do they want to see how far they can go, but they also do it to make you feel less independent. They see every time you bend or give way as proof that they are in charge. Being clear about your limits means being adamant about what you will and will not accept. It's not about getting them to respect you. They already do. It's about making it clear that you value yourself enough to make yourself face consequences. And this is very important. Clarity without discipline doesn't mean anything. If you say, "I won't stand for being disrespected," but do nothing about it, your words have no power. But if you calmly set a boundary and then stick to it, like ending the relationship or ending the talk, you send them a message they can't ignore. The great thing about clarity is that it makes it impossible for narcissists to make things complicated. They will try to trick you by making you confused, appealing to your emotions, or acting out in a showy way. But if you stay focused on the truth, their tricks will not work as well. They won't give up, though. In fact, it makes them more determined. In fact, the more clear you become, the harder they may try to make you unstable. Why? Because the way you explain things threatens their very ability to rule you. They have to face the fact that their tricks no longer work on you, which shocks them more than anything else. This is where psychological depth comes in. It hurts narcissists a lot to be clear because it takes away their ability to avoid truth. Avoidance is at the heart of narcissistic behavior, a constant attempt to get away from feelings of shame and inferiority. When you bring truth, you break through the lie they've been telling themselves. You refuse to play their game, and by doing so, you show how empty it really is. They also know, whether they are aware of it or not, that if they can't confuse you and control you, they will lose the one thing they can't stand: importance. The amazing thing about clarity is that you have full power over it. They don't have to let you be clear. You don't need their approval to say what's true. You just decide that you won't play their emotional game of tug-of-war anymore. Not only will this choice change your friendship with the narcissist, it will also change how you see yourself. Simply because choosing clarity over everything else says a lot about how valuable you are. This means you're saying, I will no longer live in a world shaped by someone else's dysfunction. Finally, I want to say that clarity is a habit that never ends. Narcissists will check it out and look for holes. But the more you work at it, the stronger it gets. You'll start to see their moves for what they really are, desperate attempts to hold on to power they no longer have. And the more they feel like they can't change your mind, the slower they become. They will eventually have to face the truth that they can't change. They can't control you anymore. If you want to take away a narcissist's power, start by making every exchange clear. Don't feel bad about telling the truth. Set limits that you won't bend. And most importantly, don't let them pull you back into the mess they make. Because once you are truly clear, they can't control you anymore. When you're clear, you find freedom, which they can never take away. The best weapon is silence. Narcissists live in a world based on how they look, a complex front that they carefully build to hide their deepest fears. They are very good at making people believe false things about themselves, their relationships, and their power. But they can't get away from the truth. Reality is stronger than any lie. And telling a narcissist the truth is the worst thing that can happen to them, especially if it hurts the false image they work so hard to keep up. There may not be a more powerful way to break down their power than to tell them the truth without apologizing. A weak and often deeply hurt sense of self is at the core of a narcissist's personality. It's important to know that beneath the bluster and trickery lies a deep-seated weakness. They hide the fact that they are weak by giving the impression that they are stronger, more powerful, and in charge. But this picture is very thin. It depends on outside validation, getting other people to believe the story they are telling. And when you refuse to be a part of that story, when you tell them the truth in a clear and consistent way, you show the difference between how they appear to others and how they really are. For a narcissist, this kind of exposure is not only painful, it's unbearable. Being honest without any holds back is one of the best ways to do this. Narcissists do best in places where the truth can be changed, where memories can be remade and facts can be twisted. But the truth, the real truth, cannot be changed. When you promise to be honest, you take away the room for confusion that they need to stay in charge. And this is very important. You don't have to be hostile or angry to show truth. In fact, it makes things worse for them when you are calm and to the point. It takes a lot of courage to say something easy and calm like, I know what happened, and I won't be gaslighted into doubting it. It lets people know that you can't be misled anymore. The truth is not just what you say, though. It's also what you do. Narcissists are very good at using words as tools, but it's much harder for them to change what people do. When what you do matches your truth, no one can deny it. If you tell someone they can't treat you badly and then walk away when it happens, you show them they have no control over you. You make it clear that they are no longer affecting your life when you stop getting involved in their emotional mess and live your own life. This is reality at work, and it's one of the best ways to break down their fantasies. Real life is very painful for narcissists because it makes them face their own fears. Their whole psychic defense system is set up to keep them from looking at themselves. They put the blame on other people, change the past to escape taking responsibility, and come up with complicated reasons for what they did. When you stop playing alone, though, and calmly and consistently show them the truth, you put them in a situation where these defenses start to break. They have no choice but to face the truth they want to avoid, that their power depends on lying, and that without lying, They are much more susceptible. It's important to know that people will not like this process. When you show a narcissist the truth, they will get defensive, angry, or try to discredit you. This was bound to happen because, in their view, admitting mistake or the truth is the same thing as destroying everything. Because admitting truth would mean giving up the identity they've built. They can't afford to. But it's not your job to persuade or win their favor. No matter how hard they try to change the truth, your only job is to stay rooted in it. This dedication to the truth isn't just about taking away their power. It's also about getting yours back. When you live with a narcissist, you have to be willing to betray yourself. You are asked, either directly or indirectly, to question what you think and feel, and to accept a version of reality that meets their wants while erasing your own. You change this situation when you choose to live by the truth instead. No amount of manipulation can change the fact that your experiences, feelings, and truth are important to you. And here's a deep realization. Narcissists can't hurt you if you choose to live in the truth. What they can't change, they can't control. If someone doesn't want to play, they can't stop them. And they lose power the more clearly and regularly you show them the truth. Their beliefs fall apart, not because you attack them, but because the truth breaks down lies by its very nature. This clear sense of what is true goes beyond the connection. Your view of yourself gets clearer when you stop living in a skewed world. You start to believe in your gut again. You know how you were put down or misled, and you're not going to let it happen again. This isn't just freedom from the ego, it's freedom to be yourself, without their lies getting in the way. Start with the truth if you want to take away a narcissist's power. Say it out loud. Do what you said you would do. You should also refuse to be swayed by their lies. This is because truth always wins in the end, no matter how well they lie. You become a force they can't control when you stand firm on the truth. That's what breaks their power more than anything else. Putting the focus on success and self-improvement. Turning your attention inward towards your own growth, goals, and well-being is one of the best ways to break free from a narcissist's control. Narcissists love to keep you deeply involved with them so that their drama takes up all of your time and energy. Instead, focus on improving yourself. This will not only give you back your freedom, but it will also make it clear that they have no power over you anymore. Making the choice to put yourself first, not out of spite or revenge, but out of respect for yourself, is the first step in this shift. The narcissist has been demanding your time, energy, and emotional work for too long, and it's often hurting your own wants and goals. You are changing your goals when you decide to put money into your own growth. You're telling me, I matter. My dreams are important. By saying, my potential matters, you set up a psychic wall that the narcissist can't cross. There isn't just one way to improve yourself. There are many ways to do it. For some, it could mean going to school, learning new skills, or moving up in their job. For others, it might mean making their relationships better, practicing mindfulness, or doing creative things. Focus on things that make you feel good about yourself and are in line with your values. This will help you create a life that is separate from the narcissist's control, one that they can't change or weaken. This method works especially well because it changes the way the narcissist normally acts. They do best when you respond to them, when their actions control how you feel. You become responsible when you use your energy to improve yourself. Their tricks are less likely to work on you because you take responsibility for your life and the choices you make. This changes not only how you see yourself, but also how the ego sees you through time. Narcissists are very scared of people who are independent, especially if it's someone they use to control. Their lack of progress is reflected in your growth. It's not them. They're stuck in their habits of manipulation and dysfunction while you grow and change. They can't stand this difference because it shows them what they lack: honesty, strength, and real connection. The more you achieve, the more their attempts to hurt you show how weak they are. Of course, there will be hard times on this trip. Narcissists may try to stop your growth in overt or covert ways. They might put down your accomplishments, question your choices, or try to force you to put them ahead of your goals. But here's the most important thing to know. Their emotions aren't about you. They're about how insecure they feel. They feel more open as you get stronger and more sure of yourself. Their efforts to stop you are proof of how strong you are, not how valuable they think you are. Focusing on self-improvement is also important because it changes other people's lives. You start to attract better relationships and chances as you grow. Real people who respect each other will naturally be pulled to you, while people who like chaos and control will naturally drift away. This change in your mental and social life makes you feel more in control. From this point on, you understand that you can change your world, but not by trickery or force, but by the quiet strength of being yourself. And now for the most important truth. In this situation, success isn't about approval from others. It's about being happy inside. The narcissist's whole life is about getting other people to like them, but your path is different. How successful you are is based on how in tune you are with your real self, how much joy and purpose you find in your life, and how strong you become when things go wrong. No matter how hard the ego tries, they can't take away this kind of success. Focusing on improving yourself isn't just a way to get away from an ego, it's a way to rise above it. You stop trying to show yourself or get back at someone. You instead work on becoming the best version of yourself, because you know that your growth is the best way to stand up to their bad behavior. In the end, the strongest thing you can say to a narcissist is not what you say or do, but what you do with your life without them. Last words: winning without having to play. This is the most important thing you can learn about selfish behavior. You don't have to play their game to win. In fact, you've already won as soon as you stop getting involved in their drama and refuse to fall into their web of trickery. Not beating the narcissist is what gives you real freedom. Not having to deal with them at all gives you freedom. You might not understand this idea at first, especially if you've been stuck in their mental maze for years. It's normal to want closure, justice, or even payback after being around someone toxic for a long time. But the truth is that narcissists can't give peace. Because they can't admit they did something wrong, they will never say sorry or validate your feelings. It doesn't help to wait for them to change or, even worse, try to change them. You can only really change yourself. To win without playing, you have to change your whole mindset. You don't spend your energy trying to trick or outsmart the narcissist. Instead, you use that energy to build a life that fits your values and goals. Leaving the battlefield they've made and making your own way is what it's all about. This doesn't mean they should ignore the hurt they've caused. It means they should recognize it, deal with it, and then choose to rise above it. Realizing that the narcissist's opinion of you doesn't matter is one of the most freeing things you can learn in this process. When they judge, criticize, or try to trick you, it doesn't matter unless you let it. You take away their most powerful tool, your emotional investment, when you stop wanting their praise or being afraid of their disapproval. If they don't put that much into their words, they can't hurt you. The most important thing about winning without playing, though, might be how it changes your mind. For a long time, the narcissist may have made you doubt your own worth, question reality, or feel like you were to blame for what they did. To get away from their control, you have to unlearn these false beliefs and take back your sense of who you are. It means realizing that your worth is completely separate from how other people see you. The best way to beat an ego is not with something they can see or measure. Being sure that you are enough just the way you are gives you quiet security. It's the peace that comes from living your true life without being affected by their chaos. And it's the power to make your life reflect your deepest truths instead of letting their flaws define you. It's easy to beat a narcissist. Just stop playing their game. Take care of your emotional health, work on your own growth, and live by your own principles. You will realize something amazing when you do. You've already won. They will never be able to take away that win.